Hey you, this is Jasim from CodeBand, and in this video I'm gonna be showing you how to deploy a Django application to Heroku. So if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe my channel and click the bell icon near to it. So without any further, let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so what I have prepared is a documentation on how to do all those stuff, the step-by-step instructions, and the link for this repository I'll provide in the description section so you can follow along. Now we'll start off with the first step, that is, if you don't have Git installed on your system, then follow this tutorial right in here and come back here. Now this tutorial is a Git installing tutorial where you could download Git if you're using Mac or Windows or something. You have all those tutorials here. Now if you're using, in case you're using Windows, then you could easily download Git for Windows installer, and you just have to set these in your CMD. And with that being said, do all those steps and come back in here in our Git repository. And the next step is make a fresh copy of your project or use a separate Git branch. Now if you're very familiar with Git and it's working, then I absolutely recommend you to do this way. Use a separate Git branch. You could name something like Heroku and all and do those steps there. But if you're not that familiar with Git, then this is the way to go. Make a fresh copy of your project. Now I'm going along this way because many people may not be comfortable with this one, so I'll follow along this way. I just make a fresh copy of my project. In here I have created a to-do project, and this one has a virtual environment, and this is our core application, the to-do application. And with that being said, now the whole application is nothing but a simple to do where you could add something like this, and you could update those in here. If you click update, you can update, then you could delete, and this is all about the application. So make sure you created a new project, fresh copy of your project. And after that, the third step is make sure virtual environment is activated, meaning I just close the server. Now my virtual environment is activated and it's up and running. It has all the dependencies like Django and Django crispy forms in my case. Now in your case, if you just pip freeze, then you'll find all those dependencies, and make sure you have those dependencies right there. Now after that, now this is the next step: add your dependencies to requirements.txt. You just type in this command and it will automatically add these steps into requirements.txt file. Now make sure you are in this directory, this to-do directory. I'll show you in this directory. Make sure you are in this directory and proceed with that command, freeze, then the greater symbol and requirements.txt. Then now you'll get a file, a text file, which have all those dependencies. Now with that being said, move to next step. Add this in settings.py. So I'll add this one in the settings.py. Now what I'm doing is I'm opening my project in PyCharm. Now you could use any editor, or you could simply go to the to-do and you could edit right in here, but I will do it in PyCharm. So my PyCharm, in here I'll just open my project. I'll just copy this path right here and I'll paste it in here, and I'll just open this directory. Now with that being said, I could possibly edit the settings.py file. I'll just close this one. Now I'll go to the to-do, and in settings.py file, this file right here, I'll just add that static root what I have copied from there. Sorry, not this one, this one. So you could just copy and paste those stuff here. And the next step is make a Heroku account. Now we are using Heroku as our hosting provider. Heroku is a very simple PaaS, like a platform as a service provider, and it's very easy to host in there, and it's absolutely free. So you could do what you could do is click on this link and create a new account if you already have if you already don't have an account. So you just click in here and you just do the sign up steps. My internet connection is a bit slow here, so it'll take a bit time. So I'll not talk about that. I'll just continue here. After signing up for an account, you have to come over here, download Heroku CLI, meaning you just click in here. That is nothing but a Heroku command line interface, so you can talk to Heroku with just your CMD itself. So in here, if you go down, then you have these installers. If you're using Mac or Windows, you can download at the appropriate versions. And after installing, you just come back in here. Then what you have to do is configure Django Heroku. Now this is a separate tutorial of the Heroku documentation that they provides us for deploying Django application. So I'll click on that, and in here we have some steps. So the first one is creating a proc file. Now in order to create a file like that, what I have to do is come back in here in my project, and in my project root directory I just create a new file. So I'll just right click and create new file. Now I will name this as the same name in here, this one, proc file. Now I'll click enter. Now remember that this doesn't have any extensions like .txt and all. Now if you have those extensions, this won't work, the process won't work. So make sure it doesn't have any extensions. Now in here you just copy this stuff, this web gunicorn project .wsgi. You just copy paste this one. Now this is nothing but to make sure Heroku hits your application in the proc file. They'll start the application from this file, the WSGI file. Now the WSGI file is in here in the to do. We have this WSGI file, but this path is incorrect as it's in the documentation. What we have to provide is this directory where we have this WSGI.py. So just make sure you correct this to do. Now in your case, you just rename this to whatever your folder name that holds this WSGI.py. So with that being said, the next step is pip install gunicorn. You just type in your terminal here. In your terminal, just type in pip install gunicorn and click enter, and it will install gunicorn. And be sure to add gunicorn to requirements.txt. So I'll just do this statement here, pip freeze requirements.txt, and then it will add that gunicorn. And the next one is pip install Django Heroku. Now this one is related to the database stuffs and all. It will automatically gives that information in your application. So again, make sure you just add it to requirements.txt. So I'll do this stuff here, and that's it. Now in the settings.py, add this import to your top of your settings.py. So I'll just copy this one. I'll come in here in the settings.py. I will add this in the top, import Django Heroku. Now the next thing you have to do is at the bottom of settings.py, copy all these steps in here. So I'll come back to the bottom and I will just say this one, this stuff. Okay. So with that being said, now what I have to do is come back to my GitHub repository. So with that being said, now the next step is this one. In your terminal, type in all these steps. Like I'll start with git init. Now this is nothing but to make sure that you are your project is a GitHub repository. Now I'll make git init. Now the next step is git add dot, like in here you could see. Now the next one is git commit -m. So I'll just copy and paste those stuff. And the next one is Heroku login. Now if I type in Heroku here, I have those things. I'll get something like this one. Now if you are getting something like the Heroku isn't recognized as a command, you just have to close your terminal and reopen it. So that's the method to fix that. Now I'll just type in this one, Heroku login, and I'll just type in there Heroku login, which logs me into the Heroku account which you have created right now. I'll just any key here. I'll just press any key, which will pops out a browser. I'll click in the login here, and I have logged in successfully. So it will take effect in this terminal as well. Now the next step is Heroku create app name. Now the app name is nothing but your application name, and whatever you provide here will act as your subdomain. Like if I provide test as my app name, now test.herokuapp.com will be your URL. So make sure you do in that sense. So I'll just copy this one and I will paste in the terminal, and I'll just name this as codeband Django, for instance. And with that being said, Heroku will create an application for me. Now we have that application up and running, and the next step is you have to just do git push Heroku master here. So I'll copy and paste those stuff, and if you are using this method, like if you're using a separate git branch, now this method will be different. Like you have to push from your Heroku branch to the master branch in the Heroku remote. So this is the method if you're doing in this manner, if you're using a separate git branch. Otherwise, if you're following me, you could just do git push Heroku master. Now with that being said, it will push all the contents in our local repository to the remote Heroku repository. Now with that being said, all you have to do is follow this command Heroku open, click in there, and you just paste in here, which will open your project in this URL, probably, and it will pops out in your browser. And herein you find an error, which is nothing but you haven't migrated your stuff in the remote database in the protection server. So all you have to do is come back in here, you just do this command here, paste it in your terminal, just paste it in. I'll just copy and paste, and with that being said, the migrate command is being run in the Heroku remote server, and it just done all those migrations. Now if I refresh the page again, I'll get that application live on the server. So if anyone with this URL can access your live project. Now I can add code ban here, which on submitting will save in the remote database, and I can update it, I can delete it, and all the functionalities is working perfectly. Now if I update it, I got the same exact result. I can now delete this stuff, and everything is working perfectly. Now one thing to note is in the remote Heroku, they are giving you a free PostgreSQL database, which you could of course modify to MySQL or something, which is on the Heroku side, that you could possibly research on that. And with that being said, now the last thing you have to do is in here, you have to set debug is equal to false, and which is because of if I go to a URL that doesn't exist, like this one, then it will show that default Django page, which will expose all our URLs. Now this is not good, as this is in the live protection mode, and so you could possibly do is set your debug to false. Now if you do any edits on the project in order to become it live on the server, all you have to do is follow these 3 commands, and which will make those things live. So I'll just git add I'll just copy these whole steps and paste it in my command prompt. Then I'll click enter, and which will essentially bring all those changes live into the server. So with that being said, everything is deployed, and now if I do a refresh on this page again, now it will show the standard for not for page. So this is all about it. This is all about deploying a Django project to Heroku. It's very simple and very straightforward. Now if you have any doubts, or if you fall into some errors during the process, please let me know in the comment section so I can help you. So with that being said, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon near to it. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.